The auto team for this rotation is largely the same as the last one, just with the team requirements changing. So I opted to shift some gear around with the Unequip scroll in the whip event shop, and that's why my score is 10 million higher this time compared to last week. So we can talk about what the team requirement is and what alternative units you can use to meet those requirements. As usual, I completely forgot to mention that we have Unequip coming up next week after the maintenance because we have balance patch that week, and there is always an Unequip after balance patches. And then 2 weeks after that, we also have the usual month-end Unequip. So for the next Hall of Trials rotation, there will be an Unequip in the last few days of the rotation as well. So for this rotation, instead of 2 Earth heroes, we need 1 Moonlight hero. And that, there's a lot of options for these. We can take a look at everyone's stats. Let's start off with the ML hero that I'm using, Belian. Belian is replacing Wukong in this team, and same thing, you just want her really fast. I think at least 265 speed is the really nice range, but especially if you're using Kayron, don't worry if you can't hit the speed. What making Belian fast does is it just makes it that you can miss more Alexa's basket procs and still clear all of the skill nullifiers. So with 265 speed, you should be able to miss one Alexa's basket proc in the second and third phase, and still be able to clear the skill nullifiers fine. I have her on Adamant Shield to reduce the damage that we take, because the attack increase is honestly really marginal compared to this allowing me to get an extra hit in with Kayron in each break phase. And then for the rest of her stats, they don't really matter. HP is nice just so you can help tank through all of the hits in the fight itself. Her imprint is also kind of useless because F-res is worthless, so you just leave it on her self-print HP. For alternatives for Belian, there's of course Wukong and Yuna, and then if we're looking at ML heroes with AoE S1s, it's mainly Belian and Abyssal Euphine are the 2 main ones you're going to be looking at. So there is one warning with Abyssal Euphine. Thanks to Elusive for giving me this clip so I didn't have to record it myself. You can see here this is a team with Abyssal Euphine as the AoE slot, and this is the final hit of the break phase. So after BBK uses her S1 here, the break phase is going to end and Alena is going to do her usual thing. Let's see what happens. So, Abyssal Euphine procced her counterattack after getting hit by Alena here. And you can see that basically this just makes Alena take 2 turns instead of the usual 1. She does her Ad Summit, and then she immediately S1s after. And the turn counter here, it goes from 10 down to 9. And her ult is up 1 turn shorter. So basically, if you're using anything with the counter, like Abyssal Euphine, or if you're trying to use Elbrus to cheese out the skill nullifiers, it might not work out the way you expect, because that counter attack is actually going to make it harder for you to remove the skill nullifiers, as you've lost one of Alena's turns, and instead of 3 turns, you only have 2 turns now to remove the skill nullifiers. So now we can take a look at my frontline unit, Senya. Senya's job is the same as before. She just puts up her counter attack buff so we can clear the cajole. And for her stats, you want at least, I'd say, 135 speed, just so that you can take an extra turn because her S3 has a longer cooldown. And that way you'd be able to get your S3 up in time after Alena reduces it by 2 turns. She has 6 effectiveness. You definitely want to be at 0, so her S3 has 0 chance of landing a debuff. And then I'm using a lot of HP on her. If you're running a normal team, like if you're using the team I used last rotation, you don't need that much HP, honestly, but because of the thing I'm doing for this one, you actually do need a lot of HP. For EE, her S1 healing EE, so that she heals up a little bit. And then I'm just using Warhorn for the attack boost, though this is honestly really minimal. If you're having issues having your Senya survive, you could just give her a better damage reduction artifact, like Sword of Ezra or something. And then her HP imprint is useful because it would increase Kayron's damage a little bit. So for Senya's alternatives, any unit that puts up a counterattack buff, really, if we're looking at ML options, it's largely going to be ML Kayron with his S2. Gives him a counterattack buff at the start of every single turn he takes. So he has literally no requirements in terms of like turn cycling or whatever. It's just he takes his turn when Alena pushes him up and he'll get the counterattack buff. And then there's Kicker at V2, who's also a really good option. His S3 is on a 3-turn cooldown. So you can get away with no requirements on him either, as long as he survives. With the 3-turn cooldown, every time Alena uses S2, he'll get his S3 back up as well. Now we can take a look at our DPS option, Kayron. Kayron, exact same build as last time. It's just HP, and then the speed doesn't really matter. The speed is just what I had after maxing out his HP. Pretty much, I did give him speed set because I do want him to take turns in the break phase, but you don't have to make him super fast or anything. EE, S1 damage EE, and then Alexa's Basket to give us chances at buffs. And then for the healer, I'm using Achates, and this is where it gets a little bit weird. So I opted to make her really slow. This is slow enough that she won't take any turns in the break phase, because in my run last rotation, she was spamming S1s into the boss, so I tried to cut that out completely. And that is why I have Adamant Shield on Belian for the damage reduction, as well as Touch of Rekos on Achates for extra sustain.
어리석은 불신자들에게 지금 별의 심판을
너의 고통 나를 비추
빛나는 날개를 펼칠게요. 제가 살아남은 것은 이 순간을 위해서였군요.
소멸하라 너의 고통 나를 비추
다시 싸우세요. 지금 들립니다. 복수를 원하는 그들의 목소리가. 저리 기다렸나요?
헛되고 사라져라 자 소멸하라 너의 고통 나를 비추
당신이 지은 수많은 죄 회개할 시간입니다.
헛되고 사라져라 자 소멸하라 헛되고 사라져라
별의 혀가 있어. 원수의 심장을 뚫을 때까지 나의 창은 결코 무뎌지지 않습니다.
너의 고통 나를 비추 소멸하라 헛되고 사라져라 소멸하라
어리석은 불신자들에게 지금 별의 심판을.
자 너의 고통 나를 비추 소멸하라
믿음을 가지세요. 제게 들립니다. 복수를 원하는 그들의 목소리가
헛되고 모자라. 순멸하라. 너의 고통 나를 비춰. 순멸하라.
그대에게 내릴 거룩한 시련 감내하고 만끽하세요.
And that is it for the auto team. Pretty much the same as last rotation. You could use either one, the one with a little bit less score and a normal Achates build, or this one with a higher score. I'm actually kind of curious, 46.5 million, would that have made top 100 last week? Let us see. So it's 47 now, and 46.5. Okay, that would have been ranked 29 last week. So I guess I didn't bother min-maxing the auto team last week, but I guess if I did, and this was with 11 out of 12 Alexa's basket procs, I could have auto top 100, I guess. But hopefully this helps anybody who is looking to auto as usual. We have Tori coming up, so we'll see whether or not we get a new boss that is Tori focused, or if we have Alena for one more rotation. Hopefully, if we do get a new boss, it's just as easy to auto as this one.